right, welcome back. Watching Uongozi Today. The cabinet reshuffle happened, and we want just to interrogate this. You've heard sentiments there from Moses Kuria amongst others as well. Congratulatory notes coming their way, and also some of them affirming what the president has done so far. Some of the ministries being coupled together, like we do have Foreign Affairs docket moving to the ministry or the Prime Cabinet Secretary's office. What does that portend? Will we have his plate full as it is right now? A lot of tinkering, rejigging, and of course, amendments has been done so far. So let's hear from Professor Ogola on this cabinet reshuffle. What do we expect, and was this also a writing on the wall for most of the cabinet secretaries regarding the performance? The president has been all reading a riot act to some of them on their dockets.
Yeah, what is interesting about the president is that, you see, when you, even at home, when you threaten people that if you do this, I'll do that. For example, if your wife tells you, if you do this, I'll leave, then they don't leave. If you threaten your son, if you do this, I'll cane you, then you don't cane them. Then later they get used to the threats. Remember the speech you've just shown there, the president was telling his ministers, that if I know something about your ministry more than you, then there's something wrong. And also he asked them to write to him written apology. So is this a decision of reshuffle because that they didn't write written apology? And then I also like the comment that has been put by one of the participants there who has said that if somebody is incompetent, no matter where you move them, because for me, if you are incompetent, there are more than 53 million Kenyans who can serve that position, you go home. Reshuffling you is how people have been reshuffling ignorance. We've gone to companies, even in private sector, where someone cannot perform, then they are taken to an area which is less visible. So have they been seen they can't perform, so they have been taken to dockets which are less visible. For example, they want to trade. Americans were concerned about how to trade with Kenya, and there's the trade negotiation going on, and Moses Korea could not perform. So maybe it has been put in public service, which is within the country, which means that for us, public service is not really important to the country, but foreign affairs trade is important because we are trading with other countries. And because trade involves other countries, you have to put somebody who maybe is competent. So what I'm trying to say here is that the president is concerned about the service delivery. If the insults that the Moses Korea was putting on Kenyans by telling them, if you think fuel is expensive, dig your own wells, those kind of comments, are they really necessary? So I also want to comment on something which has really pricked my soul and heart. When I hear the winners and losers in cabinet, I really don't like this statement because of the fact that is it the people in the cabinet who are winning or losing? The fact that you're in the cabinet, you're in a privileged position. What are you losing or gaining? But the person who should win is Kenya. After this cabinet reshuffle, will you see Kenyans having a better life which is bearable? Will we have things working in the country? Will the service delivery to Kenyans improve? I was talking to some people just because yesterday I was somewhere next to Mombasa Road, which is close to Kawangware. And I asked some border people that after the cabinet reshuffle, are you breathing better? Are you sleeping more peaceful? And they told me no. And for me, that's what matters. All of us seated here, there's a big crisis looming that the economy will grind to a halt because of the fact that the government cannot raise enough taxes. We are waiting for a report to come very soon. You'll discover that they have not actually met the target. These are some of the concerns which we'll be thinking about because they raise so much taxes they can't collect enough. Are we changing that? For me, that's more concerning to me than just talking about anything else. Then the other thing is, what is the criteria for the reshuffle? I don't see the criteria. If the criteria is what Americans said, then America is ruling Kenya. So if Americans said they don't want Moses Korea, and the president has reshuffled them, Americans said, we want you to go to Haiti, then they are going, it tells you that we lost our countries. For me, I'm more concerned about the sovereignty of Kenya, which should sit in Kenya, as my brother here, Martin Olo, puts it. And for me, is the criteria what is called political criteria? The president wants to win 2027, and he starts now aligning his team, who needs to win and lose so that he gets which support on there. If they were not performing, is there any scorecard report showing who was performing? I saw some reports which are saying that Kindiki is performing very well as a Minister for Internal Security. Why are we having the Sondu issue? So for me, this is interesting. Then the last comment I want to make here, which is very unfortunate that I have to make it, but I have to make it anyway. because I'm Fred Ogola. Musalia Mudavadi's congratulations to William Ruto for having expanded his territory is the most baffling thing to me. Because Musalia Mudavadi was a vice president, second in command. If I was like now in university, we are professors, isn't it? So if you move me from being a professor to be assistant professor, should I say you have added me a small department in my office saying, can I congratulate the vice chancellor for expanding my territory? No. Musalia Mudavadi should have been president because he lacks what is called ambition and assertiveness. And maybe if just an anecdote allowed here, Musalia Mudavadi, when he was vice president, I'm sure maybe my brother here, Kira, can tell, he was given a chance by Sally Kosgei to have a meeting with Moi in Nakuru so that he can tell Moi that he should be the one to be taken, not Uhuru. But when he went for dinner with Moi, he sat there. I have a lot of information about it. And he was just drinking coffee, having lunch, dinner with Moi. Then Moi asked him, would you want us to take Uhuru Kenyatta? Then he said yes. That is someone who lacks ambition. And by praising William Ruto very highly now for this expanded position, he's actually diminishing his chances of ever leading the country. And for me, I would urge him that anybody who wants to lead this country, you cannot be praising a failed government under William Ruto.
Thank you. Alan Manyora, what is your reaction?
You know, I was somewhere when there was this news splash, whatever, news alert. I think I was at Nairobi Club or something. Yeah. And everybody, there was a lot of excitement. People moved close to television sets. And for the long it took for that news to come, people are literally on edge. Why? This country is bleeding. This country is hurting. Let me tell you, Deba, if you go to the countryside and stay there for 1, 2, 3, 4 days, you can go into depression. The level of poverty in this country, the suffering and the pain people of Kenya are going through, one therefore would have hoped that finally it has dawned on the president that this is a sinking ship and everything possible must be done to save the people in the ship. And what better way to do that than to look at this country in terms of the human resource it has and pick out the best men and women and bring them on board to help him steer this ship which is certainly sinking. That's why people are so curious, so eager to find that, only to come up with something that was so anticlimax. Basically, you can be very polite if you say it was very annoying, and really, it shows. And I'm sorry, really, it shows we have a leadership that is not awake to the reality on the ground. We do not know that we could very easily lose this country. We keep claiming we love this country. We could lose it. Look, the number of people that can't afford a meal in this country is frightening. The number of boys and girls with even university education roaming the streets without a job is a danger to the country. It's a danger to all of us. So one would think, why can't you get Martin Olo and put him in your cabinet? He can figure out certain things. There are people, we know, we have people in this country who can figure out things, who can help. Look, the bar, my bar may be too high, but I'm thinking where this country is today. When there is a cabinet meeting, after 1 hour, some people should be able to walk out. They can't take the heat. There should be headache. The sort of things that are being tabled in cabinet and the sort of the conversation and discussion going on in cabinet to save this country should be such that some people will just resign. Like if you took a child to Alliance High School, Form 1, through the back door. I'm telling you, after 1 month, they'll tell you, Dad, no. That's what cabinet should be. So it was very disappointing. Allow me to comment, because maybe there's no other time, on the issue of Mudavadi. I see my people saying Mudavadi has been promoted. I mean, elevated, which is good. The Foreign Affairs portfolio is one of those celebrated portfolios, despite the fact that he has no budget and is actually just an empty shell. But the question I've been asking even on X is this. If you are supposed to have been in charge of all ministers, just like Ogola is saying, how does becoming one of the ministers now become something to celebrate? Yet you are supposed to have been above the ministers supervising all of them. Now you become one you celebrate. But at a much more serious level, of course, what the president has done is to avert the case that is in court. Because Mudavadi was not just a ghost worker, but a stranger in cabinet. Now he's in cabinet properly. But they should also bite the bullet and call him the Minister of Foreign Affairs. That is the only... Oh, it's you? Oh, I didn't know. That's the only way you can have. But he's minister in charge of foreign affairs. Then the Constitution allows the president to go to Parliament and add NSCS additional responsibility. Or you can do it the way Uhuru did to what was that? Matiang'i.
Right.
But finally, on the Mudavadi issue...
Will Mudavadi be oversighting himself?
Pardon?
Will Mudavadi be oversighting himself?
I don't know, that's obvious. You see, what is happening
No,
is...
if he is saying, oh, you know, all these other dockets, we need to have the performance contract. He's the one.
But now that has been removed from him.
That's what I'm asking. Yeah. Will he be overseeing himself as now on the foreign docket?
We went to court and said that the structure of the cabinet is constitutional because he's been seen as the prefect of the cabinet, and the structure of the executive doesn't allow anybody to be a prefect of the cabinet. The other thing we had an issue with was that we are like having two deputy presidents, according to the JDs of Gachagua and the JD of Mudavadi. If you put them in a software, they have 99% similarity test. They are similar 99%. So why do we duplicate those two roles where they are doing the same thing but different budgets and different institutions? According to me, the president needs to do deeper than actually what he's doing. So he should have solved the issue of even the unconstitutional of the cabinet, for example. The people with disability has not been done 5%. Youth not done.
Right.
Gender not done. Those ones
you.
are more urgent issues.
Thank you.
Let me just finish on the political aspect of the Mudavadi appointment. You see, I want to see Gachagua's hand in that. Take this guy off the ground. Take him in the skies. They say people like those ones change briefcase at the airport. Because you land at the airport, then you realize now you're supposed to be in Singapore. So you call home, they bring you another set of clothes, another briefcase. So now the man to benefit is Gachagua, because that competition is no longer available. On a very serious note, and even on the ground in terms of Western province or former Western province, the Mlembe nation, where Tangla now is celebrating. Because now he has a free hand. As Mudavadi is in the skies, he's going to consolidate his power. So the people of Western, even as they celebrate this thing, they must know, from a political point of view, Mudavadi has lost big.
So this is very calculated, very strategic, looking at that as well. But let me get the sentiment, even for the benefit of the president, aside from for the benefit of the president and the blockade in the Western region, he will not really have much time to make sure he is visiting Mashinani and trying to, of course, foster himself as a political kingpin of Western region.
Well, I look at it differently. I look at the Musalia, who came in as Minister of Finance. Many people may not give him credit, but the country was going through the situation that we are in today. And he was able to navigate with the assistance of other leaders that political landscape and save the situation. And therefore, possibly history is informing President William Ruto that you may need somebody like Musalia, because the same community of nations that we were dealing with at that particular time, after structural adjustment programs, is the same community of nations we are dealing with today. The second issue is that Musalia understands government, or how government works. At least I give him credit. He's one of the few ministers that I have a lot of respect and time for, because he understands what government is. And therefore the president perhaps thought he needed somebody to deal with issues of diplomacy, because our diplomacy is taking another dimension in Kenya today. It is diplomacy with a bit of economic issues. And therefore I don't want to read mischief in it. I want to read a lot of goodwill. The second issue that I read is that this reshuffle, while we may say is so minimal, but I've always insisted the president should not sack anybody, because part of the problem is that he has not put his house in order. I do hope he will still allow Musalia, because I think Musalia understands government better than even the president, to be able to coordinate most of these other ministries for purposes of creating order in Kenya. The last thing is, I do hope also the president will stop dealing with the PSS almost at the exclusion of the minister. The worst thing to happen in a ministry is for a PS to be dealing with direct power, so that the order of authority is misplaced. Some of the complaints, because I've been in government, and I always, once you are in government, you'll always have your network. Many of the CSS are complaining about some of the PSS almost dealing with the state house directly without the benefit of the minister being allowed to be the boss of the ministry. That is something that is not settling very well. Some of the PSS are also new in the power arrangement of government, and therefore they don't know government more than the CSS. And once you create that disharmony, the PS will undermine inadvertently his own minister. And once the minister is not feeling pretty on the seat, the ministry lacks direction. These are the comments I can make.
Thank you.
Because I strongly believe, I'm happy, because you see, he's a politician, and you don't have to do away with all your people just because the public is saying, leave them. I told you the Emperor Haile Selassie was told by the junta, remove so-and-so. By the time he was removing the 60th minister, they went one morning and told him, it is you we have come for, because how can 6 ministers be wrong and you are the appointing authority? So I feel, one of the rare occasions, I commend the president for what he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think because this debate also was in Parliament, we had Honorable Mudavadi saying, he will smell skunk. Is he smelling skunk right now?
You see, Dibal, I like where he stopped, because unlike what I'm hearing, the nature of our executive is not about who is the cabinet secretary. Rather, is who is the head of the executive, which is the president. Because everyone under the cabinet secretary serves at his whims or at his direction or at his pleasure. So really what the president is doing is organizing his house. So it's not about Minister X, Minister Y. To the extent that he still has use for Korea, he's placing Korea where he wants Korea to be. I want to look at what he has done and what Korea has said within 6 months. And perhaps I agree with Korea, which I don't usually do a lot. There will be issues, as Korea has said, resulting from Korea's role in 6 months. Why? Korea will eat into the role of the prime cabinet secretary's responsibility to oversight ministries because of that deliveries thing they have taken to him. So I actually don't know where that has been taken off the cabinet, the prime cabinet secretary's role or not. But if that the docket that Korea has been given, he is going to exercise it the Korea style, the next noises are obvious. He's going to eat into the coordination because he has already said that he is now supervising all the 22 ministries. The implication of that is very, very far-reaching. Now, my other question and of interest is, what would you say is the real need for this government today? I would not think that the real need for this government today is foreign affairs. Rather, this government needs to get the economics going. In my view, if you wanted a coordination and a role that is effective, then Musalia should have been made the Minister for Finance or Cabinet Secretary responsible for Treasury. Because that plus the coordination role of the Prime Cabinet Secretary will work well. Because whoever has the money also has the ability to determine what the money does, but also has the ability to ask what has the money done. So properly speaking, if we wanted to see, or if this government wanted to see real coordination, then the Prime Cabinet Secretary should have gone together with the Treasury. Now, make the Prime Cabinet Secretary the Minister for Foreign Affairs or the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs. You uproot him from being permanently available and therefore permanently responsible for day-to-day oversight, because he will be up and about traveling and overseeing more than how many foreign embassies and high commissions. He will be running a portfolio that is fairly full with huge travel and huge expectations. So he will not perform the coordination role unless we are being told that role has now gone to where some of the reshuffle is. And if he doesn't perform it, then if it was meant to help strengthen the government, it's actually going to leave a gap, because once Musalia will be out all the time, government coordination will be an issue. And if it becomes an issue, then again the delivery by this government will continue to be a challenge. So I would like to go back and say, when people are saying Musalia is a beneficiary, I don't know what they're talking about. When people are questioning, oh, why reshuffle, why not drop? No, this is Ruto's government. He is at liberty at any time, and this one again, I don't agree with Herman, to take the people he agrees with or the people he thinks can do his bidding. So I would not like to see Herman join Ruto's government, because Herman is going to give him trouble. I only want to see, because he has to have people that can answer to him and that can be responsible to him. And Herman may not be that person. So he has to have total people, or rather total loyalty. And therefore he must have people that he can manage. So if he has Kuria there, it's because he wants to manage him. And so on. So he's having people of his choice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, finally, let's hear from Dr. Kaluo on this as well. And we're wondering, this particular foreign policy so far, the cartoon as you can see it there, we hope that now the broom will not be passed on to Musalia Mudavadi to be flying it. It will be something else, as it is. The circus that has been so far, especially with the foreign policy, just beginning with what some sentiments that we've seen coming from that particular ministry, even jobs in Canada, and people now also from the other side saying, no, we've not issued such a statement, really uncalled for.
Debal, a government operates and gets authority from the document presented to its people in the name of Manifesto. That manifesto is what every president, every leader in power would want to achieve. And that manifesto within its plan must achieve three things. One is unity. Two is the issue of equality. And the third thing is a very important issue of ensuring that there is justice. For a process like what has just happened to take place, and by this I mean the reshuffle, there must be three things again, I imagine, that needed to be achieved. The first one is political realignment or policy. The second one could be and must have been an issue on performance. And the third one could be an issue of perception by the public and also political realignment. If you look at the first issue, and this is my imagination, about the realignment of political issues, and I agree with my colleagues. By the way, the president does not have a short of people to be in cabinet who can be very decisive, very highly qualified. His buddies, he does not have that. He has that opportunity, and there are many who are out there. But there are so many to balance, so many issues. And this country has got very powerful intelligence system, very intelligent. How do you bring the country together in unity? What is the political issues that we must address? What are the regional imbalances that are going to lead to unifying the nation? And this is the first issue that I believe that the president is trying to attend to. And it's a very serious issue because we are regionalized. We come from different places. There is expectation from our leaders, political leaders that come from our region. And I believe that there's something that the president is trying to address here based on what is happening down there. The second one is the issue of performance. Have these cabinet secretaries been performing? He has clearly mentioned something that if I know something more than you do, then there is something extremely wrong. I go to what also the deputy president said, that the moment you are elected to cabinet, you stop being buddies with the president. It is you and work. And I want to imagine the frustration of a president, a leader for that matter in any organization, that you are thinking of pursuing the manifesto and the plan and the dream, and the person that is next to you who is supposed to be your lieutenant does not understand the simplest things. And therefore it leads to frustration if the minister cannot tell me, and this is the person that I really want to get. Can I then call the PS, and then you find the PS may not be having this information, and then you call the director, and the director does not have. You call the friend, and then the friend gives you information that disorganizes everything else. It leads to a shamble. And therefore the importance and a warning to the cabinet secretaries, please read, please get information, global affairs, issues that are concerning. I imagine that how much I read for me to write an article that is just 650 words, and how much information that I pump into my head, how much professors are preparing themselves for a subject that is within the curriculum. How much more can and should a minister be reading and a PS to be up to date so that they are updated in information? I never fail to appreciate a minister like Chelugui. From his time, old time, you call that gentleman on anything, he has information in his fingertips. You will call him in the middle of the night, he knows what he expects. The same with Musalia and many others. I'm not trying to put anyone ahead of the others. I'm putting the importance of performance. And then the public perception. What are people feeling? The community in Meru, the community in Ukambani. And therefore the balance is that even when you see one is in the Ministry of Tourism, the other one is given regional development so that the community is taken care of, and so many other things. There are so many imbalances. And therefore I believe that if the plan of the government will have to work, just like any other reshuffle has ever been done, the other CSs need to be ready, that this could be coming and coming very soon, because the president is focusing on bigger issue, and the community card definitely comes to play. And therefore, what are you doing to add value? You may not be very efficient, extremely efficient in your docket, but maybe there is some political value that you are bringing in. So these are balances that we need to look at, and everyone is expected to do what is best. Right now, there is so much that the country is expecting. The community, the people are feeling left. There is no money in their pocket. There is no food. They don't have seed to plant. There may be fertilizer, but what are all these things that people need to get into? People are just looking at the optics. Yes, there is a balance of so much money that has not been used in the correct way, but what is the future 10 years to come?
All right. And of course, we shall see how they'll be shaking into place as well. Just looking at the dailies so far, why Ruto's reshuffle is a warning shot to CSS. And even we took a short break, we want to circle back and talk about a very contentious issues as well. And this is in regard to what is on the front page of the Standard this morning. I had questions in Telkom Kenya cell. Treasury CS Njuguna Ndungu announcements that a strategic partner has been found to take over Telkom Kenya as majority shareholder has opened a Pandora's box on how government conducted the business. The story is on page 8. And what the government has offered to the UAE firm in Telkom Kenya deal, with the company expected to inject capital and pay some liabilities, is 60% shares. Were there any approval? We've seen before there was, of course, Helios exiting unceremoniously, and this also people are questioning how also they got that particular share. Was there any public participation? Did it come through Parliament? They always making this decision without the approval of Parliament, and how did now Emirati got this particular share? These are questions we need to answer, but we'll take a short break. Just momentarily, we'll be back.